Hello, everybody. I'm SJM. Welcome back to Don't Starve Alone, episode 6. So, didn't actually play too much off screen before I got an interesting situation come up, which I didn't actually anticipate at all. So, I was just, grabbing trees where I could. A lot of these birch nuts weren't in the tier 3 stage, so they weren't going to drop any of the birch nut seeds. So I had kind of left them alone for now and was just hammering away on some of um, pine trees there. I always forget what they're called. And then a little tree guard spawned. He is just a little guy, but being right close to my base, it's no good. Usually we could just pacify him by taking some pine cones and planting them down. If it was further away from my base, absolutely I would do that. But because he's this close, I'm going to get him anger all the time. Because that's the main activity that I do in my first winter is just kind of sit around my base and farm a lot of wood as much as I can. So we're going to take this guy down, so we'll go over the kiting patterns for him. He is not too dissimilar to most of the kiting patterns in the game where we run in or we bait him to swing at us. We dodge it, so we kite away, and then we jump in and we get X number of hits. So that's exactly like I showed you with the beefalo there. It was dodge their swing, run in, you can get 5 hits, and then you kind of run away. If you want to be safe, make it 4. But just depending on how your play style and your comfortability with kiting is. With the tree guards, it's either 3 or 4, and you gotta pay attention because it's not always super consistent. So I'll just go over the kiting pattern with you guys here now. So we bait the swing. Every once in a while, sometimes it seems to throw in a curveball and will come after you after 3. See, that one almost got me. And because this guy is just a little one, he's going to go down real fast, even using just a wimpy little spear here. So there we go. We got a good supply. We've got a good number of living logs there, which will be kind of be handy for later as well. And we got a red bird. So planting it on that light colored turf there paid off because we now have a fancier bird for our bird cage. So we'll take out the black one and put in the red one, and now we've got a pretty red bird in the cage. We'll just drop this down on the ground here. We'll grab up a little bit of a fire here so we can not get attacked by Charlie during the night. And we're going to refine ourselves up some boards because it's time to start getting organized. So I'm going to make 2 chests for now because I don't have a lot of wood. And this is the point in my playthrough where I start actually worrying about how my base is going to start to be built. Tearing down crock pots and putting them back up isn't such a big pain in the butt. Tearing down the bird cage and putting it back up, not that big of a deal, especially if you're anywhere near the swamp where it's easy to get back the reeds that you lose on the paper. And you've got gold isn't typically a problem anyways, so the resource that you lose for hammering the birdcage down isn't that big of a deal. Same with this alchemy engine. But once you get your chests up and full of stuff, it is a super big pain in the butt to reorganize it and move it around to quote unquote look nice, which is one of the things that we want to do when we're building our base, because we kind of want it to look nice. If you don't care about it, absolutely just start throwing chests down all willy-nilly and have at her, but for me personally, I like to have a nice-ish looking base. I'm not so that type of person that requires the geometric placement mod to make sure everything's perfectly placed and symmetrical and all of that, although I do try to some degree to do it myself anyways. So the key tool that we need to make things nice looking and symmetrical is the pitchfork. And when we get into doing big bases, this quickly becomes one of the not main things, pretty much the only thing that you're doing throughout your playthrough. So we kind of want to have the chest somewhere where we can see with the light from the fire, but it's not super important. So I'm going to start mine, let's say here. So we're going to dig up that square there, that square there, 3, and I'm going to be making it 4. Kind of went into the darkness there a little bit, but not a big deal at all because we've got prototyping to do. So structures, chest, bang. So I'm not placing it down just yet because I'm going to want to know exactly where the middle is. So I'm going to be doing a 4x4 area for my chests. And this gives me plenty of storage for me in the modest amount of items that I do collect, but it's good to make this in your head, if you're doing this in your head, to be expandable if you've got more players or if you're planning on playing your world for a longer period of time. So now I'm just going to if we use what is it? I forget. I'm going to put one piece of turf back down here so I know four pieces of turf back down. So I know right exactly where the middle of this guy is, and I can put down the first chest. This is the only one that I need to kind of line up a little bit. So that's just about the middle of that there. So there, we'll put that down and we'll dig these guys back up again. And then we'll put down a second chest anywhere we want. We can go one way, we can go the other. I'm going to come this way. So if we just put this chest right on top of it here, and then we move downwards, even though it kind of looks like it's a little bit crooked up there, you just have to trust the system and it is going to be straight. And I'm going to give myself a little bit more room just by manually moving it down. But we can see kind of the spacing that we want to have between it so that we've got room for the mini signs and that we can see the mini signs so that later when we organize this all, we know where the or which items are in which things. So I'm just going to munch on my bacon and eggs, and I'm going to head on up to the Pig King. Now I do remember... No, I actually don't have anything to trade the Pig King. And I'm not running low on gold by any stretch of the imagination, so if I needed gold, then I would definitely grab some of that meat that I got lying around that I don't need, turn it into eggs and bring it up to the Pig King to get some gold out of him, but we don't need it right now, so I'm just going to take a quick trip up there and get some of the wood turf that he lies on, because that's what we're going to use for our chest area. So we'll be back there in a minute to when I've got that collected and back at the base. So here we are at the Pig King. So we're just grabbing all this nice wood turf that he's got here. It's free real estate, as they say. And we're going to end up with 12 pieces of turf out of this. And because we made our chest area a 4x4, we're obviously going to be short on 4 pieces. But that's pretty easy to make up because there is another natural source of wood turf that we can get, which isn't too hard off to get. It's not hard turf to make by any stretch of the imagination. It just takes 1 boards. But at this stage in the game, I don't have a lot of wood to my name, so making the boards to get the turf is kind of a little bit of an investment. So I'm just going to steer clear of that or not do that just yet. We may do it in the future for other decorating, but if we remember the touchstone, the turf around the touchstones is made of this wooden flooring as well, and that's what we're going to go and collect next. So if I recall correctly, I've got one in the swamp here, and the other one was over there. So our base is here, so it is kind of a little bit of a journey on the opposite side. So I'll probably finish that off off camera because we're just going to want to kind of move into the next thing that I'm going to be talking about in this episode. We're on day 18. My sanity isn't down quite enough just yet to do the prototyping for the winter clothes, and we don't need it just yet either. Oh, kind of went off course there, so we're gonna steer away from getting all of our winter clothing up just yet, but we will be doing that soon enough. But I do want to take you guys down into the caves here a little bit early because we've got the miner's hat, and it would be nice if we could refill that guy when it starts to get low. So I'm just actually going to let it run down a little bit here while I put down some of this turf. I could go and light my fire, but this is another sort of resource saving tip that you can use because the light bulbs that we get down in the caves are, again, pretty cheap to get themselves. I grabbed a lone rock on my way. I grabbed because a tall bird killed a catcoon, so there's another piece of that. Those can go in there. Let's put some of this turf down for now. Get our inventory cleaned up again. We can murder the crow. That'll give us a chance to get either a jet feather or a morsel out of it. You can guarantee getting meat out of it if you really need the food by cooking it on the fire, and that will give you a cooked morsel back out of it. But if you're not worried about it one way or the other, you can just murder it. And I was kind of hoping for the jet feather because we need those to make the pens for writing on the mini signs. Now we got some of those which you don't need on us. We don't need our axe right now. And we do have the pickaxe, which is what we're going to need to get down into the caves. So like I mentioned in my base planning stages, I want to open up one of these guys that's kind of not where the bats aren't going to be too much of a nuisance to me. So I'm actually going to open up this one over here instead of that one that's a little bit closer. Not because it's of any real importance. It should be far enough away that the battalists don't come over and bother me, but just being on the little bit more cautious side, more safer side, I'm going to come and do this one over here. All right, so travel via sinkhole. We're going to have to load up the cave world, so this will take a hot second. But then it should spit us out at a cave entrance, which there's almost invariably some light bulbs close by. And we actually ended up right beside the underground floored postern, which is actually a really nice place to set up our underground base as well, for the exact same reason why it's good to set it up on the upper half. Now I know because of the proximity how those stairs there are super close to these stairs. That'll lead us up to the plugged sinkhole. That was the one I was avoiding opening up because it was a little bit closer to my base. The underworld almost perfectly mirrors the overworld. I can't prove that to you, but it definitely really feels that way in the grand scheme of things. So just gonna grab a little bit of grass and twigs down here because why not? And I've got 6 light bulbs, which is just about perfect for now because we don't need a whole lot just yet. Each light bulb will restore 19 points of percentage on your miner's helmet. So it's just kind of something to think about, that it'll take 5 and that'll bring you back up to like 95%. This mole here is the one that I had grabbed from the deciduous biome when I was getting the glommer, if any of you remember that. So I've kind of got a mole relatively close to my base, which is handy for a couple of different reasons. But the first and foremost of which is when we want to make our moggles, we've got one close by that we can always grab if we need it. So we've got a minute or 2 in this day to kill. I'm just going to go open up the rest of the... Actually, no, I want to go and grab those birch nuts because they should be grown out into full-size trees by now. So I'm just going to do a quick stop off here at the base. Get these. Actually, we'll pop a couple into there. Throw those into there for safekeeping. We can eat a meal because we're a little bit hungry. Drop off some sticks. A couple of rocks that we picked up from the sinkhole. Our invisible axe. So the downside to the Miami tool skins is that they can be hard to spot if you store them on the ground like I do at the start of my maps. And we can see here it's already late enough in the season. Some of the trees have the birch nut trees have lost their leaves. So I'm not going to be getting anything out of this, so I'm just going to grab it for some extra wood now because it can't hurt to get another chest up and going. The reason why I want another chest up and going is this glommer's poop is starting to accumulate around here. Same with that rot. So I'm up to 30 pieces of rot now, and I've been kind of passively collecting this off of the ground, letting those, like if I need to get some sanity from petals, I let those go to rot. Those juicy berries that I showed you before that I wasn't using, and that all will go towards replanting grass and or berries close to my base if I so choose. I may not choose to on this map just because I based in an area where I've got quite a bit of that close by anyways. but it will come into handy later for when I do my mass plantings for automatic collection. So stay tuned to see that a little bit later into the future. So we've got some sanity drained down. I guess it is about time that we may as well get the winter clothing prototyped, because we're going to need it here in another minute or two anyways. And now I put down a chest somewhere close to my fire. And this is where I keep the stuff that I'm going to burn, and I also keep my pine cones in there as well. Usually because I end up with enough of those to burn at some point too, but speaking of which, I should plant some of these guys down so that they can start growing. And just a nice little 3x3 is usually enough to get going in the winter, although sometimes I'll do like up to 12 or 15 close to my fire here. I may as well do a few more, right? And I don't plan on using that turf for anything, so I am not too hesitant to burn it, because I'm not doing any kind of a mega base build, so I don't need to stockpile all of that turf, so I'm actually just going to burn it when I don't need it. So we'll grab the beefalo wool and the horn, and then we will come up in here and make our beefalo hat, so that now we have that ready to go for the winter. Now the one other item that we want to have ready to rock for winter time is the thermal stone. Now we're going to need some rocks, and we've got flint on us here, and we do have a regular pickaxe. Now if you kind of really want to min-max it, you can take that all the way down to 3% before you use it, but I'm not so worried about doing that in this playthrough. Sometimes I worry about it, but this one I'm not. Just for demonstration purposes, we're going to go ahead and get our thermal stone made up. And then this we can tell, because of I've got the enhanced status going on, we can watch with the thermal stone in our inventory and standing close. Even at this small fire there, we're going to get a good little bit of warmth out of that. Well, actually, no, it's not warming us up very much more at all, so kind of made a liar out of me. But I don't want this to lose too much durability, so I'm going to put this into the chest that's beside the fire, and then stoke it up a little bit here. Actually, we can see there. Now even at not a full-blown fire, but a good-sized fire, we'll get a good bit of heat out of that there. If we put that guy away there and we throw on our beefalo hat, we can kind of retain our warmth while running around doing stuff kind of in the shoulder season here. Actually, I don't need to collect more sticks and grass for now, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. And I think that's just about the wrapping up point for this one. We are set for winter here. We just kind of got to wait till winter actually drops, because we're still in autumn on day 20 here. And if I'm not mistaken, I should still have a track over here, unless it's disappeared now. Maybe it's disappeared. But I had spotted it earlier and I was leaving it alone because I wanted to use it when we got the first day of winter pop. So yeah, unfortunately we didn't get to keep that one winter track, so we'll kind of have to keep our eyes out for another one. And that will be kind of the if not the very first thing, but one of the first things that I want to do in the winter time is go and track down that koala fence so that we can get the puffy vest up and going so that we are fully geared for winter. So yeah, as I mentioned, that's going to be all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. Throw a thumbs up if you did, and then obviously comment if I need more explanation or if there's something that I missed. I appreciate you all, and we will see you in the next one.